This essentially is the horse facing their fears. So when we introduce something new, we don't want to start out making noise with it or using it how it's intended to be used. We just simply want to bring their attention to the item and let them check it out for themselves. Now, I don't like to call this process desensitizing because traditional desensitizing would mean I would have him on a halter and lead. Sorry, bud. And I would be spraying him with this bottle no matter how much he freaked out until he stood still. And even if he was showing signals of stress and distress, I would keep spraying until his feet were still, and then once they were still, I would stop, even if he was still stressed. So that doesn't really teach the horse to be competent or comfortable with new things. It really just teaches them to, well, it teaches them that they have to just tolerate them because you said so. Hello, and welcome to a live session with Sundancer. He's had about 5 days off. I had a bunch of work to get done, so I haven't been able to work with him. So we're just going to do a quick session where we run through everything so I can show you guys his progress with haltering and targeting and everything in real time. The low targets are a little more difficult for him. Here, bud. Okay, he gave it a good try, so I'll take that one for now. We've been working on having him comfortable with his ears being touched, and he's getting a lot better with that. That was our hang up with haltering. But as you can see now, he's fine with both ears being touched, from the front going back and also from the back going forward. We introduced fly spray. He was fine with it on day one, but the second time he had a little bit of anxiety about it. And you see him back up there. So I'm not spraying it right now. I'm just letting him check out just the bottle so that he can get used to just this weird shape and the sound of liquid moving inside. See, I moved it a little bit and he backed off there. So I'm just going to hold it still and let him target it. This essentially is the horse facing their fears. So when we introduce something new, we don't want to start out making noise with it or using it how it's intended to be used. We just simply want to bring their attention to the item and let them check it out for themselves. Now, I don't like to call this process desensitizing because traditional desensitizing would mean I would have him on a halter and lead. Sorry, bud. And I would be spraying him with this bottle no matter how much he freaked out until he stood still. And even if he was showing signals of stress and distress, I would keep spraying until his feet were still, and then once they were still, I would stop, even if he was still stressed. So that doesn't really teach the horse to be competent or comfortable with new things. It really just teaches them to, well, it teaches them that they have to just tolerate them because you said so. So instead, I go through this process that I like to call confidence building. So with any of these objects here, that's the process that you've seen me do throughout this series. We just introduce it very slowly, making sure that our horse stays under their stress threshold and they're not feeling stressed or distressed in any point during their training, okay? We want them to feel calm and confident, because that makes for a trusting partner. If you know that your horse knows how to feel confident and encounter scary objects, then you'll be more confident in them and you won't be concerned that they're going to bolt or spook at the slightest scary object and dump you on the ground and leave. Because we've established this relationship and this confidence with them. Okay, so I might just see if I can spray this once here. You see, he wasn't too fond of that, so that's enough of that for now. We don't want to push him over threshold. He did take a step back. He got a little bit of concern, as we could see on his face, but it wasn't too major, so that's okay. It's all part of the process. We also need to get our horses extremely used to a lead before we just clip it on their face and start trying to drag them around by it or let them drag it, okay? Because this on the ground looks an awful lot like a snake to these guys. Excuse me. So if we just clip it on them, as you see here, he didn't really like this too much. And we've worked on this many days before, so it just goes to show that we've really got to introduce things. And this is confidence building as well. He knows that he'll be rewarded for being brave and checking out the thing that was scary. And if you'll rewind, you'll see that as he approached this lead with his face, his nostrils were flared and his face looked a little concerned. But he pushed through that and decided to be brave so that he could get his reward. And that's what we're going for, guys. If we have a brave horse who's not scared to encounter things, just like that, then we're going to have so much less to worry about once we start riding them around at shows, on trails, whatever you do with your horse. It's going to go more smooth if they're confident in investigating things that they are scared of. 90% of that hay just went into my shoe. Okay, I might just move this over to the other side of him. Perfect. And now repeat this 1 or 2 more times. Okay. Now, what I've also been doing with this lead is coming around and working on touching it to his body. As you can see, he does not have much of a problem with that at this point. But it's important that before I just start using this lead to try and teach pressure and release or anything like that, that he's comfortable with it and is not holding in any anxiety about it. So here I'm literally rubbing it past his shoulder, down his barrel. The rope is sliding across his body. And I might just add some scratches in with it. Good. So it really solidifies that the lead rope is a good thing. And then I might just work on touching back to his hindquarters. Very good. Scratching the top of his tail now. then I'll just do the same thing with the lead on the other side here. As you can see, his head level came up a little bit. That's all right. Add some scratches and it instantly becomes a positive experience. As you can see by his lip, he's truly enjoying these scratches. Good. Like I said, he's had about 5 days off, so he hasn't been scratched in about 5 days. So he's probably really itchy. We're also working on having him stand while I untangle his mane, and we've almost got it completely untangled here. There's just a couple knots to go, and unfortunately he did rub out this section. He thinks he's supposed to touch it every time. Good. Okay. So now what I want to do, still with the lead, is make a large loop. Oh, if I can get this knot out. As you can see, he's keen on investigating here, which I'll reward for because I always appreciate a brave horse that's not scared of everything that it encounters. And if he wants to walk off and take a second, that's okay. Like I said, he's had several days off. So it seems like he got a little stressed about this dangling. As you can see here, we have a stress indicator by him looking away. So we might just work on that for a second instead of what I was planning to do. And he walks away. That's fine. I'll just hold it here. Good. Okay, he acknowledged it. So we might just be done with the lead for right now, and we'll go into some haltering. Now, even though I've been able to get this over both of his ears, we're not going to start with that. We're still going to just reward for him putting his nose through. And I like how he's keeping his head nice and low now. He's not putting it up into the air anymore. Even though he was doing that in the beginning, now that behavior is starting to fade out. Good. And there we did go over both ears. He's asking me for scratches, but now we do need to start creating some boundaries. So I'll just ask him to back out of my space when he does that, and maybe the next time I halter him, we'll reward with scratches. Beautiful, he didn't even move. And since this is what he wants, we'll just use it. He allowed himself to be haltered, so now he gets the scratches he wanted without pushing into me and running me over, because that's not a behavior that makes humans feel safe with horses, and especially if it's a horse that's being trained to be sold, you don't want them running over to the human and leaning on them and swinging their butt around to the human or anything like that, because it just doesn't feel safe. Even if the horse is completely calm, if it swings its butt around or puts its shoulder right on top of the human, almost like it's going to run them over, the human's going to get anxious, which then makes the horse get anxious. So then we could have the potential for problems. So it's always best to create these healthy boundaries. Good. And you can see, even though he's had 5 days off, we're really picking up right where we left off. I mean, good. It's not like we're having to refresh or anything like that, like you see with just traditional pressure and release based methods. The horse has an incentive to want to do what they're doing, so they're more willing to remember and pick up right where you left off, even if you give them time off. Right here, I'm just going to see if I can leave it sitting here for a few seconds. Beautiful. He didn't even move. I'm going to go ahead and reward that one with scratches as well. That was a very good one. I can still stand on one side and reach over. Very good. Here. Good. So there I'm just practicing bringing the strap under like I'm going to clip it. I'm not actually clipping it yet because we don't want him to be stuck with this on his head and he's freaking out and running around. So, and if you notice all the movement of his head he's doing, that means he's not ready for me to clip it on and leave it just yet. He's got to be a little bit more comfortable with it before we move on to that step. There, that was a perfect one. So this time I'm going to give him hay and some scratches. Awesome. Nice job, buddy. Okay. He's trying to steal hay out of the bag, but he's not the slightest bit concerned about the halter, so that's still good. Still what we're looking for. Okay, he's coming into my space here, so I'm going to ask him to back up with my hips and reinforce with the touch. And I just want to note, I'm not pushing on him, I'm merely shifting my hips towards him. If he doesn't respond, I'm touching the point of his shoulder. Just touching. Saying, hey, could you please back up? And waiting until he finds the right answer. There's no need to force a horse to do anything because they will, one of their modes of learning is trial and error. So they'll try different things when you're asking them to do something until they find the right answer. But they can't do that if they are too stressed or too nervous or too worked up to be in a relaxed, curious state of mind. So that's where our traditional training messes up and works against the horse's brain as well, because we're just trying to force the horse into doing what we want rather than letting their natural modes of learning take place and work with their brain to learn together. There, he started to take off, so that tells me that maybe the next one I don't need to try and work on the bottom strap, just put it on and back off so that we ensure he's not going to become worried about the halter. And there he remained completely still once again. And I'll go ahead and reward that with some scratches. I have been working on touching under his belly some too, and he was liking some scratches under there the other day. Oh, there it goes. Sometimes the belly is a really hard place for a horse to allow you to touch. If you think about it from a prey animal's point of view, if a predator gets to your soft undersides, you're probably not going to last too long. So it's really a measure of trust, and just makes things so much easier to form a relationship with your horse before you go trying to just train them by running them around a round pen and using pressure and release. Okay, now I'm just working on touching down his legs. No concern shown in his face whatsoever. That's fantastic. And this time I'm going to work on shifting his weight in preparation for picking it up. Good. So a lot of people, when they're trying to pick up a horse's hooves, just run over and they just grab the hoof and try and pick it up. But your horse isn't prepared. They don't know what you're about to do. If we come up and we rub down the horse's body, they know we're coming. See, and he shifted his weight before I even used my shoulder to lean on him slightly. I'll show you what I mean on this other side. It might be a little easier to see. So when I'm going to ask them to shift their weight, I run my hand down, then I use my shoulder to gently push them over until they take the weight off the foot that I'm about to pick up. Let me make sure this is still recording. Great. I don't mind him stealing a snack every once in a while. We're going to be working with pellets soon anyways, so it's not a problem. And with having your horse shift their weight away from the leg that you're going to pick up, they're more stable, they're more prepared to hold the leg up for a longer amount of time, and they know what's coming, so they know what to expect, and they don't get confused when you're just trying to touch their leg and think that you want them to pick it up. So I might just see here if I can go ahead and work on maybe picking this one up. Okay. Good job. That was the first time we've picked one up without him actually backing. That was awesome. Good job, buddy. Good job. I'm going to give him lots of scratches for that. A horse knows when their leg is picked up, they can't flee. So if they are a little anxious and a little worried and they don't really trust you, it's going to be real hard for you to be able to pick up their hooves. Awesome. Good job. Okay, that was great. So I'm going to be done with that leg for today. Let's try and see if we can repeat it on this side. He's positioned perfectly right now. This one's out front, which means his weight's not on it. Let's see. Just going to come here. Good. He didn't completely release his weight on it like he did the other side, but that is still progress. He didn't take a full step backwards, so we'll take it. Okay. Now I'm just going to use the lead rope one more time. We're going to just hold it about like this and see if I can, he thinks he's supposed to touch it still. Just drape it over. Good. Perfect. Very good. I don't want to start just chunking it over his body. That will push him over threshold, even though that's what a lot of our traditional pressure and release training regimens call for. You're actually giving the horse more anxiety about the rope by just chunking it over them rather than starting with them investigating it, starting with wiggling it away from them, and then putting it on their body slowly. Everything must be slow steps and slow progressions if we want true learning to happen. Very good. Good boy. I have not put this far down his back yet, but he's doing awesome. Very good. That was great. And I might just repeat this halter process a few more times. I forgot I have this curry comb in my back pocket. I did introduce that last week, and he is a huge fan. So we'll give him some hay and then just use the curry a little bit. He took a step back there, so I looked at his face to make sure he's not getting uncomfortable, and he wasn't, so he was likely just positioning himself. You can't reach it now, it's too low. Oh, I was wrong. That's okay. I don't mind this because, like I said, I'm going to transition to using hay pellets in a pouch, and he won't be able to steal any then, so this is not a huge deal. Hey. Okay. That was great. Fantastic. I love how low his head was. That tells us that he was not worried at all. And I want you to just explore a little bit on YouTube and look up Mustangs first haltering and compare the facial cues that you see from those horses versus this guy, even though it's taken longer, no doubt, but what you get is a solid, reliable horse versus one that might explode and throw you off on the trail and leave you or anything like that, okay? We haven't had any explosions with this guy yet, and the goal is to not have any throughout his entire training. So for the last bit of the session here, I'm going to use my alfalfa pellets. He gets very excited about these, so I'm introducing them slowly, and we're working on treat mode for these. So he's eager, okay? Good. He's waiting patiently. Beautiful. We did this one day, guys. We worked on treat mode once. And as you saw there, as I opened my pouch and got the pellets out, he had his nose tilted away from me, waiting patiently for me to hand him the hay pellets. That's exactly what we want. Okay, he backed up here. The problem we had with the hay pellets last time is he was so eager to get them that he was in a rush to get the halter on and off of his head, like this. There, he put his head in a fixed place and paused, so I'm going to reward that. Oh boy, and he's doing so great with treat mode. I am so happy with that. Like I said, I introduced these hay pellets as the reward once, and that was 5 days ago. So this is fantastic. And he did great with the halter today. So I might just use the pellets to make him a little bit more enthusiastic about the one thing he's still pretty skeptical about, which is this spray bottle. Even though I was able to spray him on day one. Remember, guys, we can't expect our horses to act the same way they did a previous day. Each day you have a new horse, and you have to remember that. Okay? All right. Good. He's waiting patiently. That's very good. He takes a step back. That's okay. Whoop. Okay, we don't want him to leave, so I'll just back off. And maybe just hold it out front. Good. And what I might do here is spray it over here. Good. This spray bottle makes a really creaky noise, so I think you see that head movement as soon as I spray it? There, he kept looking at it. We'll reward for that one. He's doing much better at staying calm about the hay pellets today, so that's good to see. Good. Very good. Okay, good. There he approached it, and I sprayed it as he was approaching. That's okay. Notice his head level is raising, and he is showing us some stress indicators, but he's being brave. He's not going over threshold, so this is the place where learning happens. And as we repeat this process, he'll get better and better and feel more and more relaxed with the spray bottle. He actually took a step towards it there, which is a good sign. Good. Good. Notice how this is not the train wreck that you often see when people introduce spray bottles to horses too. He could go over there if he wants, but he's choosing to stay here and be brave and investigate the spray bottle. And even though his head's coming up, if you notice, he's still blinking, his ears are still moving around, his nostrils are still normal sized, he has a normal breathing rate. He's not nostrils flared, wide-eyed, stiff ears, head stuck in the air. He's very relaxed and calm, even though he's not sure. And after I spray this and it worries him, what does he do? His head comes up and then he looks directly at me, which is what we want. If they get worried about anything, we want them to know they can rely on us to make them feel safe. Good. Okay, that's enough of that for today. Good job. I might just see if I can pick up this leg one more time. He's probably going to back up because of how his legs are positioned. See that? Now he's ready. Okay. Okay, he took a step back. That's okay. We'll get it. My hand smells like fly spray and he was not sure. Good job, buddy. Good job. And we always want to end the session with something super duper easy, so we might just work on some targeting. You gotta touch it. Good. Good boy. Okay. You're all right. Something spooked him right there. But if you notice, he didn't leave. He's still here, hanging out. And as I said previously, this target will be how we teach him to tie, how we teach him to move long and low, and it has many, many different uses. We can actually use a target to teach our horse to collect. And good. We'll actually begin working on that. We want to bring it here. He backed up, but that's okay. All right, guys, and that's it for targeting. I might just end the session with some follow me. I'm tilting my hips away and asking him to come. He's going to get distracted. That's all right. Sundancer. I appreciate that he came over instead of eating the hay off the ground. That's great. All right, and we'll just repeat this a few more times and end our session right there. Let me know what you guys think of this video, and let me know if you guys prefer live sessions or if you prefer the clips or the sped up sessions, full sessions in high speed. Let me know what you guys like so I can make more of that and ensure that you guys are learning everything in this process of training a horse using completely relationship and empathetic based methods that feel good for you and your horse. His follow me is a lot better now. He's actually turning the corners and walking straight with me versus kind of side passing and staying in the center. Something caught his attention there. That's okay, I'll just wait. Okay. If he gets a little lost, I'll just offer my hand out as a target and he comes right along. So that's it for today, guys. I'll see you in the next video.